Hello and welcome back. In this video, we are going to push our code to GitHub. We first need to set up the GitHub repo. So inside the user service, okay, I'm going to run git init command. Okay, so I initialize the project with GitHub. Okay, now the next thing is we need to go to GitHub and create a new project. Okay, so create a new project right here. Okay, and I'll call this jobber-users and I'll make it private. Okay, create repo. Okay, and then we can just add all of this right here. So I'll do git add all, git commit, the first commit. Okay, and then do this and add the origin, the remote origin, and then I'll push. Okay, so I'll push the code. So now we have our code on GitHub. Okay, so with this later, once we are done with creating the services, and then we start with setting up our infrastructure, because we are going to first of all set up our infrastructure locally. Okay, so we are going to set it up locally, and we're going to see how we implement all that. The next thing I want to do is quickly to add the user service to Docker Compose. That is if you need it to be in Docker Compose. Okay, so I will just duplicate this. Okay, and then this will be users, and this will be users container. And now let's make the changes. Now the file is in, this is going to be 4-users-service. Okay, the same Docker file. Now the port is port 4003. Okay, so that is the port number. Let's see. Yes, 4003. And then the next thing is we need to add the environment variables. Okay, so let's go ahead and add the environment variables. You can copy all this, and then let me remove all this, format it properly. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and do a multi-select. Okay, right here. Okay, so with this now I have the environment variables, but let's just make some changes here. For database URL, let's make a change. Instead of using localhost, I will use the MongoDB container name. So the MongoDB container name is MongoDB_container. So I'll change this to MongoDB container. Okay, and then the gateway token, they are still the same. API gateway, I'll change the API gateway to the gateway container. Okay, so this is going to be gateway container. And then RabbitMQ endpoint. So instead of localhost, let's see, we can copy the same RabbitMQ. Okay, we need to change this endpoint here as well. Let me see what was used here. Okay, yeah, so we need to change this in the different services. I'll change this to use RabbitMQ container, and then here as well to use RabbitMQ container. Okay, and then for MySQL, for the auth service, the MySQL should be MySQL container. Okay, so it should be MySQL container right here. Okay, and also for the user service, we need to change Redis host and Elasticsearch. Okay, so let's see if we have what is the Redis container called. Okay, so the Redis host is going to be Redis container, and then Elasticsearch URL. So Elasticsearch is going to be Elasticsearch container, and then we change this here as well. Okay, so now we've been able to add all the environment variables, and then under the depends on, this depends on Elasticsearch and MongoDB. Okay, so it depends on Elasticsearch and MongoDB. Okay, so with this now we have the gateway service, notifications, auth, and the users service. So at this point, we are done with our users service. So we now have 4 services, and I will not lest I forget, I need to push the changes from my gateway service. Okay, so I'll go to my gateway service and then push the changes to GitHub. So git add, okay, git commit. So added users, controllers, user service, controllers, and routes. Okay, and then git push. Okay, so with this we are done with our user service. In the next video we'll likely start with a new service.